Well, we got some Halo Infinite news this week, and it wasn't exactly what everybody was wanting. We specifically got two pieces of news. The first, Tim Longo, creative director of Halo Infinite, left 343, and a job listing for a live design lead was posted to the company, and both have sent fans all up in arms. Howdy, hey folks, welcome back to the channel. As you know, it is my desire to help facilitate joy in all the content that I create. I'm the Coltrane, and let's try to find some joy amongst this news. Alright, it might not be as bad as it seems. Let's tackle the departure of Tim Longo first. Kotaku broke the news for us via an article that states, quote, Tim Longo, the creative director for the upcoming Halo Infinite, left developer 343 Industries this week, Kotaku has learned. It's part of a leadership shakeup that arrives late in the development of the next Halo game, which is scheduled for release in fall 2020. Longo, an industry veteran who has served as creative director for Halo 5, had moved to a different role a few weeks ago, according to two people familiar with the goings-on at 343. This week, he left the company entirely. Now this got a lot of people worried. You don't like to see a creative director leave a developer when you are starting to get fairly close to launch of a game, particularly when you are at the point in time where meaningful development decisions are still being made. A recent memory fresh in many people's minds of what happens when higher ups within a dev studio leave during a critical time in the dev cycle of a game would be BioWare and Anthem, where several key developers had left BioWare or left working on Anthem throughout its development. Anthem launched in a very messy state, and it was reported by Kotaku that Anthem went through development hell and that the departure of several high-level developers was indicative of that. So seeing someone like Tim Longo leave 343 can undoubtedly be reason for concern, especially when something similar was in the game industry spotlight not too long ago. However, I really don't believe there's reason for true concern in this circumstance. Look carefully and note what the article stated. Quote, Longo, an industry veteran who also served as creative director for Halo 5, had moved to a different role a few weeks ago, according to two people familiar with the goings-ons at 343. This week, he left the company entirely. To me, this was indicative that 343 was prepared for his departure from his specific role. I mean, he wasn't even in the creative director role when he left. He transitioned a few weeks ago and then he left. So it wasn't a complete surprise by 343. We're not told what caused him to leave, just that he did. And he really could have left for any number of reasons. Maybe he was wanting to leave to go to greener pastures somewhere else. Maybe a family issue popped up that caused him to have to depart. I mean, heck, maybe he just wasn't getting the job done. I mean, who knows? In fact, according to his Twitter, Tim essentially said that he left to go on to some new plans. Now sure, some might think this is just standard PR speech, and maybe it is, but also, it could be the truth. He truly just might have wanted to move on. What we also need to consider, and what is even more telling, is the piece of news that comes later in the article via a statement from Microsoft, which states, quote, the overall creative vision and production of the game remains led by Chris Lee, studio head of Halo Infinite. This arguably should extinguish any true concern because Chris Lee is still leading the entire development of Halo Infinite along with 343 studio head Bonnie Ross. So if these two people plus the vast majority of other dev leads are still present, then this strongly advocates that there's no problem within 343 or with the production of Halo Infinite. I believe very much that it is a waste of energy to worry about the game since these facts remain. No report of dissent within 343 has been reported here or even within the last several years, so I really don't believe there's any cause for concern. Plus, and get this, Tim Longo was the creative lead for Halo 5, a game which the internet tells me is the worst Halo game ever made. So if that's the case, then I would think more people would be pretty excited about his departure from the company than bummed out about it and worried about Halo Infinite. I mean, if you didn't like Halo 5, you should be glad that the guy who led the development of Halo 5 is no longer a creative lead on Halo Infinite. Right? Moving on to the next piece of news we got. A job posting for live design lead was posted by 343 as a position they're looking to hire. The job description as such reads, quote, design and deliver a AAA player investment experience that focuses on our fans and their desire to express their passion for our franchise, including, but not limited to, microtransactions. This understandably got people all worked up. Microtransactions are a hotbed of frustration, and rightly so, some games have really abused them in very consumer poor and flat out wrong ways. However, the sheer response this garnered from the community was a bit over the top. Frankly, this news should not be a surprise to anybody. Many assumed this revelation meant that Halo Infinite would be riddled with MTXs and loot boxes, and things kinda got blown out of proportion. However, Chris Lee has already publicly stated back in 2018 that Halo Infinite would not have loot boxes. While no one likes microtransactions, the reality is they're going to be in the game. The truth of the matter, whether you agree with my following statement or not, is that game development is a business, and a priority in any business is to be profitable. This means that what the market shows as being the most efficient way to the highest profits will be pursued by the developers and their publishers. Right now, microtransactions are what are shown to be profitable, and most likely this is never going to change and is going to be in gaming forever, at least to some degree. I know I most likely didn't make any friends with that last statement, but please don't misunderstand me. I'm not at all trying to belittle anybody's feelings about microtransactions. I'm just trying to convey what is and what will be for Halo Infinite and the overwhelming majority of video games going forward. I don't think these need to be viewed as negatively as they often are. Yes, some companies have made very predatory choices with microtransactions, like loot boxes, and I know many are quick to worry because 343 essentially did this with Halo 5's rec system and, to a lesser degree, the Blitz card system in Halo Wars 2. However, some companies have handled MTX really well, and I believe 343 will also do so with Halo Infinite. Again, it has been confirmed no loot boxes will exist in the game, which pretty much confirms there's going to be no pay to win. I imagine there will be some kind of direct-to-purchase cosmetic system in the game and other non-gameplay affecting means of monetization with microtransactions. This does not mean, however, that they're going to be done poorly or shoved in your face. While it's totally okay to not want these in the game, I would encourage you to not let it take more joy from you than it should. We just don't know how they're going to function or to what degree. While it is your choice and how you perceive it, I would ask you this. Be excellent to one another and to 343 anytime you engage in discussion about this issue. 343 nor Microsoft are out to get us as consumers. Yes, they're a business and they're going to pursue profits, but this doesn't mean that they're going to sell their souls in doing so. Let's give them that benefit of the doubt while we wait to see what is in Halo Infinite. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then I would invite you to leave a like as well as consider subscribing and hitting the bell if you'd like to see more content from me. But let's not leave it there. Interacting is always the best part, so I want to invite you to a couple places where you can do that with me. The first is Twitter. I'm constantly tweeting about anything game related as well as just sharing my everyday life and would love to interact and talk with you there. Also, would love to invite you to come hang out with me on stream sometime. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday by 9 p.m. Eastern. Would love to invite you to come hang out there and talk about any games you're playing as well as just experience whatever I'm playing at that time. Lastly, would also love to invite you to come give our podcast a listen, the Fair and Balanced Play podcast. I and some friends talk about anything in gaming, anything that's happening in the industry, and would love to invite you to come join in on that and interact with us there. But regardless of what you choose to do, I hope you choose joy in your life today. And I hope you take that joy and you go give it to the next person you interact with. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.